Hello, it's Craig from Unleashed Education here, and thank you for joining into this editing toolbox video. In these videos, we focus on sharing a quick tip, trick, or technique to help you improve your pet photography editing skills. In this video, I'm going to show you a quick non-destructive technique for dodging and burning in Photoshop. When I say non-destructive, I basically mean that we are not going to be changing the image directly so that we don't lose any quality in the pixels. Dodging and burning is a great way to use light to bring attention to areas of the image that you want the viewer to see first, and it can often be referred to as painting with light. This technique is usually most effective when you work with the light that you were given in the image when you've taken it, and in the case of this image of Maggie wandering through the forest here, the light was coming into the forest from the left-hand side, which is clearly indicated by the fact that we've got these highlights on the tree trunks, and the right hand side of the tree trunks are in shadow, which is very similar to what's happening with Maggie's face as well. We have light on her face, but the back of her is quite shadowed. And basically for this image, I want to enhance that look. To do that, I will create a new layer. I will press Command or Control and A on my keyboard, which will select the whole of the image. Press Shift and Delete, and that will bring up the fill box. You want to make sure that contents is set to 50% grey. And just press OK. Then we can change our layer blending mode from normal to overlay. And if we press Command or Control and D, that will now deselect the image. Let's just have a quick look at this layer. If I turn it on and off, you'll see that it's not making any difference whatsoever to the image at this stage. So I'll zoom into Maggie. And what I want to do is maybe just bring a little bit more light to the front of her and exaggerate the shadows behind. To do that, I want to have my dodge tool selected, and I'll change this to midtones, and my exposure does not need to be anywhere near 100%. We can take this right down to maybe 6 or 8%. That will then allow us to build the effect up slowly. And I'm very conscious in this image that this highlight on the front of her head is quite bright already, so I don't want to brighten that up, but I will lighten up the nose a little bit and a little bit around her eyes. This effect is quite subtle, but if we turn this layer on and off, we'll already be able to see a difference. So basically what I'll do now is I'll work through this whole image and lighten up all the areas that I want to lighten up. We'll make this a little bit of a speed edit for you so you don't have to sit here and watch me paint everything slowly. Okay. So now if I switch off this layer, we can see what we've done with the dodging here. So now I want to do the opposite, and I want to burn in some of the shadows. So I'll just change here to burn. We'll change this to midtones. We'll take this down to about 8% as well. And then it's really up to you. I tend to do this on a single layer, so I dodge and burn on one layer. You might want to create a different layer for dodging and burning, so you have a dodge layer and a burn layer, but I find that just doing on the same layer is more than adequate. So we'll do the same again. I'll burn all the areas that I want to, and then we'll come back to see the finished result. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the end result there. I've done a lot of burning now, and what you can see if we turn off this layer, that's our before and that's our after. So as well as actually accentuating the highlights and the shadows in the image, I've also used this technique to hide areas that I will find distracting. So for example, this catch light down here in the bottom corner, I've burnt that right down. If we look at this area in the background where the light is falling on the forest floor, I've also burnt that down a little bit so that we're not wandering up here and into these highlights of the trees behind, which I've also taken down a little bit with the burning tool. So overall, it's giving us a great feeling of the direction of the light coming in, but it's also helped us to dull down some elements that might otherwise have been distracting. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this useful, a quick technique for non-destructive dodging and burning in Photoshop. I'll see you again for another editing tip soon.